Hey y'all, how you doing? Happy Tuesday. I am Gabrielle Victoria and I want to thank you guys for tuning in this week. This is Sip+Tip Tuesday. So we are back again for another week, and as you can see, I am in a really great mood and I want to get right into it because this week, probably for the first week, my sip and my tip go hand in hand. So this week I am drinking green tea. All right. So green tea, if you are a tea lover, green tea is it's a really great decompressor after any type of stress or anxiety, I believe, as far as drinks go. So I did some research on it and I learned that green tea is packed full, obviously with a lot of different health benefits, but it's packed full of these special amino acids that not only sharpen your concentration and your focus, but they aid in like greater levels of relaxation. So we have these alpha brain waves in our mind and in our brain, and the amino acids in green tea directly correlate with those. I'm not a scientist, y'all, but I know that I did some research, and the green tea, the amino acids in the green tea work with the alpha brain waves, and it induces and implies greater levels of relaxation. So if ever you're having a hard day, pull you out some green tea. I like to put some honey in it for sweetness because I don't use sugar, and just breathe and enjoy and relax and let it move through you, and hopefully it makes you feel better. So cheers to this, and we're gonna get right into our tip, which is on anxiety. Okay, so let's get right into it. Okay, so now that we've gotten that out the way, anxiety, not a friend of mine, but we sometimes know it all too well. And if you have been living anywhere in 2020, I would say under a rock, but you could be under a rock and still know that 2020 has been like 1-2 punching all of us. And so I can imagine so many people dealing with anxiety on your job. I got furloughed, just being transparent. So I'm sure there's other people like me who just don't always know what the future is going to hold professionally. And if you're anything like me, I had my life planned out and this was not one of the parts of the plan. Anxiety in your relationships. I know that COVID and the coronavirus has definitely scrutinized and put a magnifying glass on a lot of our relationships. If you haven't seen people and you haven't been able to see people, or maybe you've been stuck with people, whatever it may be, there's anxiety in all different facets of our life, and they've been magnified now with this entire pandemic and with the racial unrest and just the condition of our country right now. Okay, so I want to address that. And one, I want to say, if you've ever dealt with anxiety, stress, maybe even depression, one, you are not alone. Two, you are so normal for feeling that way. And three, there is always a way out. There is always hope. There is always a way to bring yourself up out of it. So I made this video and I want us to discuss just a very simple approach to dealing with anxiety. So if you remember back in kindergarten, I don't care if you went to public school or private school, you remember that when the fire marshal came and we did our fire drills, they told us, in the case of an emergency, if ever you catch fire, what do? Stop, drop, and roll. Now, I never had to stop, drop, and roll, but when I practiced it, it seemed a little crazy, you know. But if I ever caught fire, and if we're talking about anxiety, let's use a metaphor here. Catching fire, something is on you that you don't want on you. It hurts, it burns, it stings, and it's not pleasant. That's anxiety, right? Something is on you, whether it's a load, it's a stress, it's a weight, you don't want it on you, and it is unpleasant. So that's the fire in this narrative. So when a fire is on you, here are my tips. Stop, drop, and roll. We're gonna stop what we're doing, we're gonna drop the load, and we're gonna roll with the punches, okay? So let's get into that. Tip number one is stop. So when you feel anxious, when you feel worried, when you feel stressed, and you feel like, okay, this is getting a little out of control. I can't really control myself anymore. I'm feeling my palms getting sweaty. I'm having a panic attack. My heartbeat is racing, or, you know, I'm getting dizzy or lightheaded, whatever it could be. Or maybe my emotions are just now out of the realm of sanity. Whatever triggers that you begin to notice, that is when you need to stop. If you're driving, it means pull over. If you're on the phone, it means hang up, I have an emergency. If you're cooking, turn the eyes off and go sit on the couch. Whatever you're doing, you need to tend to yourself. You are your first priority. And so stop what you're doing in the moments where you feel that stress is mounting and that your anxiety is becoming such a big wave that it's about to overtake you. Don't let it overtake you. You need to tune into yourself, okay? So tip number 1 is stop. Tip number 2 is drop. Drop the load. Now, this is a very conscientious tip. You have to have the control over your mouth and over your mind to say, you know what? I know what this is. This is a panic attack. I know I've been stressing out about my job. I've been stressing about my bills, stressing about going back to school before it's time. Like, I've been stressing about this. I know exactly what this is. And I need to drop this load because at this point, it is taking a toll on my physical and my mental. So dropping the load can literally be stretching, because we know that releases tension. If you pray, please pray. Yoga, meditation, whatever it is that you need to do to physically drop the load. Drink some green tea, take a nap, talk to somebody you love and trust, read a book, but you need to find a way to channel that negative energy, that anxiety and that stress, address it and drop it. That's tip number 2. So we stop, we drop, and tip number 3 is we're gonna roll. Now, roll is the future tense of this entire tip, okay? Life is literally sometimes like a wrecking ball. That's what Miley Cyrus said. Came in like a wrecking ball. But here's the thing about life. It's a challenge. It's changing. It's ever evolving. It's ever unpredictable sometimes. And coming from someone who has her entire life like planned out to a T, you have to learn how to be flexible. You have to learn how to be malleable, you know, being able to be molded and adjusted and adaptable to life's ever-changing way. And this will help tremendously with your anxiety. When you understand that I need to roll with the punches, let things happen naturally and organically, and whatever is going to happen is meant to happen, you let it be, then your anxiety doesn't take a front seat in your life. It takes a back seat, or you kick it out of the car altogether. But stop what you're doing, drop the load, and that could be a metaphor or it could be an actual physical release. And 3, roll with the punches. Roll with life. You gotta move with it. When you try and resist and you try and buck it, it's gonna cause you so much stress, and you're gonna fall into pits of depression and anguish and worry. But sometimes you just have to understand that there's higher powers working right now. Everything is not centered around you and your timeline and even your own understanding. A lot of the things are bigger than us. And when you know that, and when you trust that, and when you believe that, your anxiety is not so big anymore. It's not so much of a monster. So stop, drop, and roll, guys. That's my anxiety tips. I hope it helps. I hope you enjoy your green tea. And I hope that this will carry you through to next week. And I can't wait to see you guys. Love you. God bless. And I'll talk to you later.